architecture and what are the things there. Yeah, come next slide, please. Yeah, today agenda is like these are the overview of CloudHub 2.0 features, vcore allocations, and we'll discuss last mile security, scaling, some monitoring, and we'll discuss on the cloud of migration culture. These are the main thing people was looking forward, like people was working with cloud 1.0, how to migrate to 2.0. Yep, these are the today's meetup leaders. Manju, he's a working as an integration developer for LG's group, and Ravi Padmanabhan, he's a customer success for MuleSoft, and I'm Sai Krishna Sangapore, currently working as senior software engineer for Convergiva. Yes, come. Uh, company is some we're getting some noise from background.
Okay, 1 minute.
Go to previous slide. Previous slide, please. Yeah, yeah. I'm just talking about the safe harbor statement. Both the speaker and host are organizing this meetup in individual capacity only. We are not representing for companies here. This presentation is strictly for learning purpose. Organizer presenter don't hold any responsibility. That same solution will work for our business requirement also. This presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. Lastly, this meeting will be recorded and will be shared in the Baltimore meetup page within the 24 hours after the meetup is completed. Yeah. Yes. Today's meetup speaker is Kamini Shukla. She's working at the associate staffing at Nagaro. Kamini is holding a 7 years of experience in developing various integration projects. She has a very good exposure on cloud of 2.0, and she will be delivering the topic, all the concepts on the cloud of 2.0. Yes, Kamini, you can take care of it. But
Okay.
getting some background noise, uh,
Okay, right now also?
somewhat better. Yeah, now can take it. I'm just start the recording.
Okay.
Yeah, you can take care.
Okay. So, hi everyone. My name is Kamini Shukla. I'm working as an associate staff engineer in Nagaro, Gurgaon based, and I'm having a total 7 years of experience and all relevant to MuleSoft. So, I started with MuleSoft 3 from my career and then moved to MuleSoft 4. Today, I'll be just giving you the introduction about this new feature which is getting introduced by the MuleSoft, that is CloudHub 2.0. It's high level architectures and other features which make this rollout a very efficient for the business perspective. So, yeah. MuleSoft CloudHub 2.0. So, MuleSoft has recently launched a major update of their fully managed Mule runtime engine, cloud services. So, it significantly improves the application performance and scalability with lightweight container based isolation. So, CloudHub 2.0 is a containerized platform where you can deploy your applications. Applications are deployed into a container which is more flexible for scaling up and scaling down the Mule application. So, from scaling up and scaling down, what we mean is it helps you to add more resources is easily at the time of peak workload, you can say. So you can add more resources and extra vcore granularity is also there. So extra vcores, replicas, and all that. And scaling down will let you just go back to your original state to save the cloud cost basically whenever the peak time is not there. So that kind of flexibility we have in CloudHub 2.0 provides deployment across 12 regions globally. So there are 12 regions in which we this distribution is there and we can deploy our applications. Applications can be deployed on cluster mode. Minimum of 2 replicas are required for cluster mode. So what is cluster mode? That is something new which we have in 2.0, and it's not there in CloudHub 1.0. So clustering is basically it provides scalability, workload distribution, and added reliability to your application. Clustering enables multiple replicas, which is again a feature of CloudHub 2.0. We'll explain that in the later feature slides, wherein we define what is replica and all. So this clustering enables multiple replicas to communicate with each other and share data because the memory is shared. So that way, the distribution gets shared. At any point of time when your one replica is down or that is loaded, it will automatically be distributed amongst the other. So this kind of scalability and reliability we have as a feature cluster mode in CloudHub 2.0. Supports feature like intelligent healing, zero downtime updates, etc. So intelligent healing is something which we have in CloudHub 2.0. What does it mean is if any underlying hardware experience a failure, the platform migrates your application to a new replica automatically. So redeployment also, in case of the application crashes, the application automatically redeploys. So that is something which we have in Cloud 2.0, which is called intelligent healing. Zero downtime also, which because of the replica load sharing and all, we are having a zero downtime at the time of the deployment. Also we have a feature so that we can achieve this. Private space. So private space has an inbuilt ingress load balancer with auto scaling capacities. So that is also, I'll explain in the later slides what is the concept of private space. Built-in security policies used to secure the encrypted sensitive data uses in the service. So security policies are also very strong here in CloudHub 2.0. We have the added security. We have a concept of last mile security, SSL forwarding, which I'll be explaining in the further slides. Inbound and outbound firewall options are available. So these are just a high level points which explains that why this Cloud Hub 2.0 is introduced. Moving on to the next slide, that is architecture. So this Cloud Hub 2.0 has the concept of shared space and private space. So let's talk about the shared spaces. Shared space is mule instance, which means the mule instance is running in a multi-tenant environment. So what is multi-tenant environment? It means that multiple customers of the cloud shares the same computing resources. So that is one environment wherein we have multiple customers. Let's take an example. There are two organizations, org A and org B. Both are deployed in the same environment, that is they are sharing the same features or the cloud hub platform services which is available. It's just that there is no firewall rules as well between these organizations, cloud or gain or b. So that is called a multi-tenant environment in which everything is shared, every feature is shared. CloudHub 2.0 provides one shared space in each supported region. So we have 12 regions overall, and CloudHub 2.0 supports one shared space for each region. Applications are deployed into a namespace based on the application's Anypoint environment ID. Using namespace, customers' applications are isolated. So every application is unique because it has the application's environment ID. So that makes that application isolated name wise. All customer uses the shared domain, load balancer, cluster, network configuration in this multi-tenant environment. Like I explained, all the applications which is being deployed in a shared space, they have the same cloud or platform features. Let's say the domain, load balancer, cluster features, any networking configurations. These are all shared among all these applications. One thing which is very fine and important is data is not shared. So customer can only see their own data. It doesn't mean that two applications are deployed and then it is visible to all if it is a multi-tenant environment. No, the data is not shared. The reason behind it is every applications, every API is deployed in a separate container. So that gives an space, that shared space. So we have that kind of isolation because separate containers are used for individual applications. So if anybody has any doubt, we can discuss here.
Yeah, if anyone have any questions, like you can ask it, you can unmic it, and you can ask it. Or if you want to just if you want to ask them, then you just put in the chat. Company will take in between the slides.
So basically, the shared spaces are like Cloud Hub 1.0, right?
Yes. It
Okay.
like in 1.0, no, like in CloudHub 1.0, we have that concept of private space also and the shared space also. But all these concepts are little bit modified. You can say the features which is provided is little bit modified in that. In CloudHub 1.0 also we have that feature of private space also. We have a VPC, virtual private cloud, right? So
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so shared space is CloudHub 1.0, right? But it has enhanced features, let's say clustering and all that I explained.
Okay. 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 Fine. Thank you.
Okay. So, requirement for shared space. So, if when we can say that we can use shared space, first thing, there's no requirement for vanity domain names. So, what is vanity domain name? When you deploy your application, you are automatically, when you deploy your application in a shared space, it uses cloudhub.io as a domain name. But if you have a requirement that you want your org's name in the application URL, let's say Nagaro.io or Nagaro.com, anything you want in your application. So in that case, private space will be useful. In the shared space, it is automatically bound to use this cloudhub.io only. So if you are not having any such vanity domain name requirement, you can go for shared spaces. There's no custom certificate configuration in the Mule APIs. As I say, these all load balancer and the domain name and any networking configuration is shared, so there's no fee if your application is not bound to use any custom certificate specifically, then we can use the shared spaces. When API has no requirement to access on-premise private cloud hosted applications. So when you are not going to connect to any private network, any private cloud hub hosted services or on-premise, then only you can go for shared spaces. Otherwise, we have to look for the private space. Okay, so it's just a small architecture diagram. Above we have anypoint control plane, which is having the platform services, that is monitoring, object store v2 runtime, anypoint exchange, and access management. And in the below we have one shared space. So you see this in this all shared space, the orchestration services are same for all these worker nodes. These, you can say, these are three different containers having the application, and the orchestrator services is shared in this complete shared space. So this way, the shared space specify that if applications are deployed like three different applications, but the services and other like dedicated load balance and everything is shared among all, and it has the common features. So multi-tenant space, no vanity domain supported. Last mile security and SSL forwarding is supported. So that is something which is new in CloudHub 2.0 and an added feature in the shared space as well. Okay. So when you deploy your application, it's just a small, I have placed a screenshots. When you deploy your application, in the deployment target, you see this CloudHub 2.0, which is new, and then shared space. So you can select from here that you are going to deploy your application in this shared space. You can define the replica size, the count of replica which you want. Um, and then here we have a concept of public endpoint. So when you deploy your application will get this public endpoint. So some of the features are disabled for the application to a public space. um, this endpoint can be used for the other external open services which they can hit for this application. So this endpoint is available when you deploy your application in the load balancer ingress thing. You see this application got this public endpoint assigned. Okay. So now we are going to discuss about private spaces. Anybody has anything to ask in between? private space can be seen more as an evolution of VPC. As I say, it's an evolution of VPC which we have in CloudHub 1.0. So private space is virtual isolated space in CloudHub 2.0 to run your MuleSoft application. So it's a virtually isolated space which you can create yourself in CloudHub 2.0. Multiple private spaces can be created in a single or multiple region in CloudHub 2.0. So we have a one shared space for each region, but in each region we can create multiple private spaces. Every private space has its own load balancer for inbound traffic called private ingress. That is something. This feature is there. It auto scales to traffic, removes the concept of there is no dedicated load balancer concept here.
Let's wait. Like Connie has lost an interest and checking with her.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, yeah. Now it's fine.
Oh, somehow it got muted. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we are discussing about the private spaces. So every private space, as I say, it uses a range of IP address for the application in private space. Every private space has its own load balancer, which is automatically assigned for inbound traffic called private ingress. It also allows downloading the traffic logs um, from the load balancer. So earlier in CloudHub 1, we don't have that feature to download the load balancers log. So this is something which is added on in 2.0. Requirement of private space. So API has a requirement. When your API has a requirement to access on-premise or private cloud hosted application. So when you are supposed to connect to another private network that is on-premise application, so then in that case we can use private spaces. If requirement for custom certificate configuration, so as it is completely isolated space you are creating for your own application, you can define the custom certificates. Private space endpoints to accept traffic from in private locations. Inbound and outbound firewall rules are configured. So in CloudHub 2.0, we have a feature to define the outbound traffic also. In 1.0, we can define the inbound traffics in the dedicated load balancer. But here in 2.0, we can define the rules for both inbound and outbound. And there is a requirement for separate vanity domain. So if in a private space, you can modify your application URL as well. Okay. Any questions on the private space till now?
Not on the private space. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
In every sentence of yours, right? The second half is not clear.
Okay.
Just speak clearly. That's what. The first half is very clear, and the second half all becomes unclear.
Okay. 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 I'll take care of that. Thank you. Yeah. So this private space architecture, this diagram is again we have the anypoint control plane, MuleSoft platform services. Then we have this private space. So when you see it has a dedicated orchestration services. Unlike the shared space, it has the common services, but in private space, these three applications you can say be deployed and it all has its dedicated orchestration services. Again, there is a concept while how you can connect your private space to a private network or in on-premise application, you can say. So we have this VPN tunneling and transit gateway concept here. So what is VPN tunneling? VPN tunneling, you can say it's one-to-one communication, means one private space is connected to one private network, you can say, or a data center or any kind of Azure web services. But transit gateway acts like a hub. So In Transit Gateway, you can connect one private space which you have created to multiple different applications, you can say multiple private networks, data center, or uh, any virtual private cloud. So these are the two concepts which is there, which can be used to connect your private space to a private network. Okay. Now private space, how we are going to create it. I've just kept a small screenshots to explain. In the runtime manager, when you go there, there's a thing like private space. It is written, it's a newly launched. So when you click on it, you get a button which is used to create private space. When you go to create, it will ask for the region, in which region you want to create it. Then you can configure inbound and outbound traffic also. As I say, we have this outbound traffic also in this. So inbound traffic, outbound traffic firewalls rules you can define here. VPN or transit gateway connection, so you can choose how you're going to connect to a private network or any on-premise application. We can choose from here. Certificates, if you have any certificates, custom certificates, that can be uploaded here. Enable TLS certification in private space. Environment access, so access to the business group, in which business group or the environment you want the this private space. So these are the few steps which you need to go through while creating a private space. Okay, so this is about the shared in the private spaces, which more or less define the CloudHub 2 architecture. Uh, if anybody has any questions to ask in between, or else we'll discuss about the features which is most important, what all the new features we have in 2.0.
Yeah, if anyone have any questions, you can unmute it and you can just ask what are the questions you have. Company will take care of the questions.
Okay, so CloudHub 2.0 features. Uh, it's just listing down some of the feature, that is high availability, fault tolerance, vcore allocation options and replicas, rolling update and recreate for deployment, last mile security, scaling of the application, global regions and monitoring. So first thing is high availability and fault tolerance. APIs can be deployed to a multiple replicas, which make your API more available. So in CloudHub 1, we have a concept of worker size and worker, which define that, yeah, how many instances of your application you want to run. So in here, it's just the concept of replica, which can define when you select maximum 4 you can select. So when you deploy your application, you can select that how many instances of your application you want, so that the load can be shared and your application is more available. Multiple instances deployed based on the replica configuration. If any instance fail, request will be processed by the other instance for high availability. So that is when that is the concept of replica, which if if we are sending request to any replica and it failed, it will be automatically moved to the other replica of the application. Failed replica instances automatically will be up. If any of the replica is failed or restart failed, it will be automatically restarted and up. That is using intelligent healing capability. Replica will be distributed across the availability zone. Any failure in availability zone in one zone, request will be processed by the other availability zone for fault tolerance. So high availability, intelligent healing, fault tolerance, um, these are something which is most important features which we have in CloudHub 2.0. It gets more smarter, you can say, in that way, while dealing with your application requests. Application can be updated during runtime with zero downtime capacity in CloudHub 2.0. So we have a concept of rolling update and recreate in the deployment modes. You can say we can select the deployment mode, and in rolling update, it ensures the zero downtime capacity. I'll be explaining that in the further slide. Okay. Another is vcore allocation options for API sizing. So we have a more granular level of vcore sizing available here. So this added fractional vcore offers in CloudHub 2.0, we are no longer bound to bundle multiple listeners or the multiple API endpoint into a single application for resource usage. Earlier, if we have 0 0.1, 0 0.2, and then directly we have one. So for the costing purpose, of course, we are bound to build a heavy application, you can say, which has multiple endpoints. But because of this granularity which is available, we can divide our application in a better way, in a better architecture way. So total number of replicas, 8. Replica allocated with vcore will run on the Mule application in Mule runtime. Each replica deployed in separate container in region and monitored individually. So when we select a replica, it all got deployed in a separate container. Now in this we have a total worker one based on the subscription. So for when you want to deploy an application on two worker, it will again be a costly, and a subscription needs to be taken there. In 2.0, we have 0 0.1, 0 0.2, 0 0.5, then 1, 1.5. So the granularity is increased. Basically, in 1, we used to have 0 0.1, 0 0.2, and then directly 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. So this is the difference in the vcore sizing. Okay. Now let's talk about the deployment options which we have in CloudHub 2.0. There are two options which we can see: rolling update and recreate option. So API deployed, this rolling update is something which ensures the zero downtime, you can say. Rolling update maintains the availability by incrementally updating the replicas. So when you have 4 replica deployed for one API or application, each replica will get updated incrementally, so it ensures a zero downtime. The API will be available, different application versions simultaneously be running until the update is completed. So there we have 4 replica, one is getting updated, then 2, then 3, then 4. So in that way, downtime is not there. When you see this screenshot, I have deployed this application in the rolling update mode. So when you see here, your application is still running, and then your updates are applying simultaneously. So this feature is new, which is added in 2.0. Another is recreate option is also there. API, in this case, API won't be available until the deployment completes. New deployment instance up and running, all instance cannot be consumed by the client application. So uh, this is different from the rolling update. Recreate, we can just shutting down all the instances running, all the replicas running, and then applying the update. So in this case, you see this application is not running, and then this is the features are getting applied. So this is the difference between these two deployment mode which we get in 2.0. Anybody has any questions in this?
Kamini, there is one question
Yeah.
in the chart. Like Prashanti has asked, like zero downtime is present in Cloud 1.0 as well.
Okay. But during the deployment, when you deploy your application, it's just that one application is running on a single worker, so it has some sort of downtime when the, the application is deployed, right?
No, it has zero downtime. I mean, I even attended CloudHub architecture, integration architecture core training as well,
Okay. Okay.
offered by MuleSoft,
Okay.
and it was clearly informed that CloudHub offers zero downtime. Even if the customer doesn't have enough cores,
Okay.
MuleSoft still, like for example, if the customer has only zero point 0.1 cores and zero point 0.1 cores has already been used by some application. So to
Okay.
enable to have zero downtime, MuleSoft additionally provides another worker during the deployment time rolling update, due to which the zero downtime is feature is available in CloudHub 1.0.
Okay.
It
Okay.
is not available for customer hosted applications,
Right. Right. Right.
but it is available for CloudHub applications.
Okay. Okay. So in 2.0, it's just that they have created an option for us. It's rolling update or recreate. So actually, the usage comes where the usage of recreate, let's say, comes. Rolling update. It is also a question that why recreate when we have a rolling update, right? So recreate, I think, it is usage in that case when the application is having some bug, let's say you are deploying your application for different replicas and then you identify a bug in your API. It is returning some invalid or wrong data or anything like that. In that case, you want to shut down your application first of all, so that you don't want any traffic in between. You push the update. So I think in that case, recreate is helpful. You are not allowing any traffic. Your application is not taking any new requests until you push your new changes or the bug fixes. So that is something that option is given, I think, and it is useful in that case.
Okay, maybe just one thing I can add over here. When
Yeah.
we say on Cloud 1.0, it's of course it is zero downtime, but do remember that in Cloud 1.0 there is no shared memory between workers. So, for
Yeah.
example, if a transaction is ongoing on a particular worker and a new worker is getting started or application is getting deployed, that transaction or that data or payload does not get transferred to the new worker, which means if that technically maybe the downtime could be in seconds or milliseconds, but if there's an ongoing transaction happening in a previous worker, that would get lost. But in especially when the clustering mode is there, when you have one or two replicas, so it does not recreate, let's say, how I could say, the application gets deployed in a rolling update, correct? So which means that if a particular replica, a new application, a new version of the application gets deployed, there's still a second replica or a third replica which is still running the previous version. And due to the shared memory of clustering, the transaction can go over there. So this is more additional which we get in Cloud 2.0.
Yeah.
Am I
Thank you.
clear?
Okay, in the sense, like it was only rolling update in CloudHub 1.0, which obviously
No,
includes
it's
zero downtime.
CloudHub 1.0. It's not a rolling update. It's always a recreate in CloudHub 1.0. The only benefit what we get is that the MuleSoft gives us additional vcore, correct? That temporary vcore, even though we do not have a license to it.
Mhm.
But in this 2.0, if we go for recreate option, of course, MuleSoft I think does not provide those additional or temporary vcores. We need to have those additional licenses for recreate or for rolling update. So that additional vcores which are there. Sorry, I was specifying wrong. For rolling update, we need to have those additional licenses for vcores. But for recreation option, we do not need to have it this additional licenses for vcore because the previous replica gets, let's say, paused.
Okay, which license did you say? I mean, do we need titanium license? Is that what you're saying, or platinum license?
Uh, Sorry, I did not get you.
So you are saying that in CloudHub 1.0, to have the zero downtime, we need to have some additional license, right?
No. There's no requirement of additional licenses over there. They do say
Your voice is
downtime?
actually not clear. It's breaking. Yeah, you're audible, but it's breaking.
Okay. Me clear?
Not clear. You may type in the chat. That's fine. I'll check it over
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Palash. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Regions. So there are 12 regions which is supported. Uh, it has EU, APAC, and Canada, EU, Ireland, EU, and London. So you can choose your region which is more close to where you want to host your applications to mitigate any kind of latency, API latency or anything. So yeah. Another is last mile security and the SSL forwarding. So CloudHub 2.0 added some of the features in the security. Last mile security, when we talk about, so last mile security is HTTP request comes to an ingress load balancer. Ingress will send the HTTPS request only to your application. Earlier, what happens in CloudHub 1.0, when we get an request from the customer, from the client, to a load balancer, it will be an HTTPS request, but from load balancer to your application, it is HTTP request only. So this, the security layer is still the dedicated load balancer, but here we can enable this last mile security, which ensures that the this HTTPS request goes through the application also between load balancer and your application. So it defines the term last mile. So it is taking the security till the last mile, means your application. Uh, Last mile security should be enabled in ingress for end-to-end flow secured. So you can see the option, you can just take it up when you want this last mile security. There is no separate port for HTTP and HTTPS. In CloudHub 2.0, we have 8081 only. So earlier in 1.0, we have 8080 for HTTP and 8082. So do two different ports for HTTP and HTTPS. But in 2.0, we have 8081 only. SSL forwarding is also useful. You can add an extra security wherein you want to send the client certificates to the mule application. So it is used for the client authentication. SSL forwarding forwards client certificate details in HTTP request headers so that they're available to the application. So that is also useful when the application wants the access of the certificates, client certificates, and uses them. So session is continued till the end. So these are the two features from security point of view which is added. Okay. Uh, Scaling, horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. So horizontal scaling is something which you can make your API or application more available. So from the availability point of view, you can increase the number of replicas. Load of the server increases, so number of the requests to distribute the request replica will be added. So when there is a load increases, number of requests you can say increases, you can increase the replica and it gets distributed among the replicas. Vertical scaling, so it scaling is increasing the vcore size. So this is used when your payloads, when your request is getting loaded, like it's a huge request, the large size of the payload is large, and for in memory operation you can use the vcore sizing for vertical scaling. So two type of scaling we have, horizontal and vertical. Okay. Last is monitoring. So CloudHub 2.0 has shown below messages. So when you deploy your application in the replicas, you see the screen, each replica is getting deployed and how. So that visibility is there. You can configure alert also for deployment success and deployment failure. In the alert option, you can choose your application name, condition in which you want your alert, subject, and the mail address. And this sort of email you will get in case of any error. So this is in 1.0 also, but yeah. Enabling logs for application will collect the ingress and application logs. So we can have the load balancers log also available in 2.0. In 1.0, we are not we are not having an option to get the logs, ingress logs, load balancer logs directly. In 2.0, we have that feature. So this point, access to the ingress load balancer log is possible and used for troubleshooting. So these are some monitoring features. Any questions you have in this feature thing? Anybody?
Kamini, there is one question in
Yeah.
chat.
Okay. So we need not build TLS and certificate to mail application should be for internal traffic and rely on the last mile security. No, it's not the case actually. We should have mutual TLS is also there, so we should have this certificates, external certificates, which is required. In case of SSL forwarding, like I explained, the certificate is used, and it goes to the application. But in last mile, the HTTP session is just moving till like you are providing a certificate to load balancer anyways, so that certificates earlier, which still remains with the load balancer, and it is not going to the application. But now this session, HTTP session, is going to application. So these are two different things. You need to have the security and the certificates anyways. Right? Is it clear?
I have a question, Kamini.
Yeah.
Anuj here. So, like, if everything is on HTTPS, we can rely on this for at least for internal traffic, right?
Right. Right.
And another thing for SSL forwarding, does
Yeah.
it mean that we can use mutual TLS for without private space?
Mutual TLS we can use without private space, right? So SSL forwarding is we can have in shared and private both. It's just that in SSL forwarding, your certificates will be available to the application also. So that is something added in the application level. Also, you can verify the client, is it success or fail. You can see the client certificates there. So that kind of feasibility for the authentication purpose we have in application also.
Okay, because in CloudHub 1.0, we want to do mutual TLS authentication. We need to use VPC, right?
Yeah, but
And
in
DLB.
but in 2.0 we have this mutual TLS thing.
Okay, without using private space.
Right, right, right.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So one of the most important topic, that is migration to CloudHub 2.0. So what are all the consideration you have to make before you pitch to your client for the migration, or you just thought? So first thing is AWS Direct Connect and VPC pairing is removed in CloudHub 2.0. So in CloudHub 1, for connecting to your virtual private space, virtual private cloud to a private network or on-premise services, you use this VPC pairing and AWS Direct Connect. But now in 2.0, we have VPN tunneling and transit gateway currently available. So any on-premise configuration and other private cloud configuration using VPC or AWS Direct Connect, you have to just remove it and configure this transit gateway thing. So that is something for all the virtual private cloud which is already there. You have to keep in mind that you have to change this connection, VPC pairing or AWS Direct Connect. You have to remove it and add a new transit gateway or the tunneling. Second thing, CloudHub 2.0 uses 8081 for both HTTP and HTTPS. Instead, in CloudHub 1, we have 8081 for HTTP and 8082 for HTTPS. So this is also a change you need to take care. Inbound outbound static IPs assigned for private space in CloudHub 2.0, not in the application level. In CloudHub 1.0 uses static IP in the application level. So in 2.0 we define this static IPs inbound outbound on the private space level, not on the application level. So in the private space, you can create that private space for the environment wise or anything, but or in that private space it has its defined static IPs, not on the, we can define multiple application there, but in CloudHub 1.0 the static IPs are for the application level. So that is also one thing which needs to be taken care. CloudHub 2.0 supports Mule runtime 4.3 and 4.4. and the later 4.5 as well. So any previous versions are not supported. So if your application is running on 4.2, then it cannot be migrated. Persistent VM queues are not supported in 2.0. This should be replaced with Anypoint MQ. So persistent VM queue option is not there in 2.0. It is we need to use this Anypoint MQ. Another thing is CloudHub 1.0 has rewrite tools in dedicated load balancer. We have ingress load balancer in 2.0, which won't support that. So manually this DLB mapping upgrades to ingress. So your load balancer also, you need to take care with, we have automatically assigned ingress load balancer in case of 2.0. Mule Maven plugin changed to 3.7.1. CI/CD pipeline changes. So when you want to deploy your application to 2.0, then you have to change few things in your CI/CD pipelines, like this Maven version, which is supported. There have been some significant changes, like in the scheduling, how schedulers are managed. Earlier, uh, first of all, we have this UTC time zone defined. So every schedule we have to define in a UTC time zone. We have this feature to define our own time zone, specific time zone in the cron scheduler. So that is something which is added in 2.0. And one more thing, when we want to change any schedules in CloudHub 1.0, we can just go there and on the fly we can just change it. There's no restart of the application or anything. But in 2.0, it's just restarted whenever you demand anything like enabling, disabling, or the change. So that is also a change. Okay, so anything, any doubts in this, in migration?
I have a question on Cloud Hub connector.
Okay, so CloudHub
So,
connector. Okay, yeah.
yeah, it's not supported in 2.0,
No,
right?
no, it's not. It's not. I have the slide later.
Okay, so any alternative for that in 2.0 if we already have them in 1.2 applications?
There's no alternative for the connector. It's just that custom notification thing is not there in 2.0. There's no, I hope in future they may release something, but right now there's nothing for the CloudHub connector.
So in case, the migration wouldn't be successful, right? So we need to rebuild totally in a different format
Right,
to send
right,
customer.
right.
Okay.
Actually, we cannot migrate our application as it is, like in 1.0 and 2.0. It's just there are manual processes from the code wise, from CI/CD pipeline wise. So there are manual changes.
Okay, maybe I can answer that one. Maybe a probable workaround would be you can use platform APIs, correct? Which are available to create those notifications or whatever actions are there on CloudHub connector. Create a system API, okay? Put it on Exchange, publish it, and then system API can be downloaded as a connector. Okay, any API which is there on the Exchange can be
Hmm.
downloaded as a connector, and you could then use it. It would be your own connector, correct? So you could use it directly. Okay, that helps. Yeah.
Okay. So there is a small comparison list from 2.0 to 1.0. Clustering is one thing which is supported in 2.0, but not in earlier. Data graph is not there in 2.0. Object store is there. Deployment rollback, that is something which is in 2.0. In the configuration, when you are deploying any new feature and it got failed, you have that feasibility to go back to a previous version of the application. So that kind of feasibility is there. We have a configuration option in the properties. You can select that and you can select the older version previously deployed from there, and it will get updated. So rollback is there. We are not having that in 1.0. Mutual TLS, as I say, it is there in 2.0. TLS is not there, and we have TLS is in CloudHub 1.0. So outbound firewall rules, we can define out inbound and outbound both in 2.0, but outbound rules are not there in 1.0. VPC is there. VPC pairing is not there. AWS Transit Gateway now we have to use. So these are the features. High availability is both there. Load balancer log. So load balancer log is something we can download directly from 2.0. It is not there in 1.0. Now these features, persistent loop, custom alert notification, API proxy, Flex Gateway, these are not there in 2.0. Maybe in the upcoming rollouts they are planning. I know they're planning for Flex Gateway. So these enhancements still needs to become. Okay, so I'm done with the presentation, the slides. It's just the small questions which we should be answering. We are able to answer in the end of the presentation. So rolling update, recreate, security, spaces, private space, virtual space, and runtime, which runtime version is supported. So these are the questions. Okay, so I'm done with the presentation. If anybody want to discuss something, any questions?
Yeah, if anyone have any questions, like you can discuss it.
With respect to the CACD, right? So first we need to deploy to Exchange and pick up the artifact from Exchange and deploy to runtime manager, right? Unlike 1.0, we don't have access to pick up the artifacts from Artifactory and then deploy to runtime manager. Am I right?
I'm not sure about it actually.
I heard that in 2.0, the artifacts cannot be picked up from, let's say, in Azure Artifactory and then directly deployed to runtime manager. So we first need to deploy to Exchange and then pick up from Exchange and then deploy to runtime manager. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, yes, that's true. I see. CloudHub 2.0, what is just my opinion as of now, it's more of a fast solution for RTF. Even in RTF, it's the same way. You cannot directly deploy it. Whatever application version of the package goes to Exchange and it gets deployed onto the platform or onto the runtime. The same is there for CloudHub 2.0 because it follows the same architecture of Kubernetes of RTF. The only difference is it's a past solution. RTF is more of a, let's say, the infrastructure needs to be managed by the customer, correct? So yes, that's true. Anything, be it RTF or Cloud 2.0, the application version of the package needs to get published, let's say, in Exchange, and from that it gets deployed or the version is taken to be deployed on runtime.
so then do we also do we also need to take the responsibility of cleaning up the archival artifacts, old versions, each time we upgrade to a new version?
Yes, I think we need to take that. I've not tried it. Not using CloudHub 2.0. I'm still reading it about it. But if yes, then we need to clean that up. I think that part we need to check how that can be done.
Okay.
But I've not read it about it. Whether there's some out of the box feature available from the MuleSoft itself. I've not yet read it. I did not find it yet.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, we have still 2 more minutes, so if any questions, you can just proceed. And lastly, yeah, after this meetup, you will get some feedback email. So just please give some feedback so that it will be useful for the upcoming meetup. Yeah. Thanks everyone. I'm just stopping the recording and